Welcome back, everybody, and here we are with the new Super Luigi U run by M-Chan. Take it away.
Alright, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Fast Pace for Pride. My name is M-Chan Great, and today I am joined with...
Hello, my name is Nexlation, or easier known by Nex.
Alright, so I'm very excited for this. Today we're going to be running New Super Luigi U, a game that I'm best well known for within the speedrunning community. I've been running this game for over 6 years now, and now here we are running this game and category that I'm best known for. And so before we begin here, time does not start until I get past this intro cutscene. It's when I start moving on the map, which is about 2 minutes from now. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK right now. Alright, so this is New Super Luigi U for the Nintendo Wii U. It is the DLC for New Super Mario Bros. U. The game itself is pretty similar to New Super Mario Bros. U. The maps are the same, the amount of levels you do are the same. The levels are different though, however they are similarly themed. The levels are harder than in Mario U, but they're much shorter because every level has a gimmick of a 100-second time limit. So the levels themselves are like really short. Also, Luigi controls differently than Mario. Luigi has a higher jump, he floats more, he slips more as well, so as a result, his movement is harder to control than Mario. It is a pretty hard game to play for your first few playthroughs, but once you get the hang of it, the levels are laid out nicely for Luigi. The category I'm running is All Castles, which is essentially a warpless category of the game. It is about twice the length as any percent, where in All Castles we do all 8 worlds, whereas in any percent we skip worlds 2, 3, 4, and 6. So you get to see more of the game and more of what the game is like, which is what I like about this category in general. With that, time's about to begin really soon. As soon as Lemmy's airship heads over to World 1. Alright, let's get ready to start the timer. In 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, so we're starting off in 1-1. Like in every speedrun of this game. We're going to be getting the main power of the game, which is the Super Acorn. The Super Acorn is going to allow us to turn into a squirrel, and as a squirrel, I can glide over a bunch of different obstacles and fly over some of the levels with proper movement. And as you can see, we are already done with the first level, so you can kind of get an idea of how quick some of these levels are going to be as we go through this game. The next level, 1-2. Oh, what's that?
I was going to point out that you saw him sliding down all those downward-facing slopes, because sliding is faster than just running down the slopes. So you'll see him doing that quite a lot over the run. Yep. Just minimal time save.
So 1-2 is our first difficult level right off the bat here. We're going to get this. We're going to go to the left here to grab this hidden star. Stars allow you to turn invincible, as well as increase your movement speed. So that way you can tank through all these enemies right here. And then I am going to grab this star block right here. That can only be a star if I hit that block while I have a star. So that way I can chain that to the second half of the level. Otherwise, that second part, as you can see with all those perma plants and Koopas, is otherwise pretty difficult to go through. So that is we're already 2 levels down. Now coming up is our first tower level or fortress level, depending on what you want to call it. It is called the tower officially. So we're going to call them towers, and this is going to be our first level where we are going to be using Nabbit. So Nabbit is a new character introduced in this game, and in this game there's a secret way that the game never really tells you about, so you kind of have to figure it out on your own. If I hold the ZL button as I'm selecting the level, then I suddenly have access to Nabbit. And Nabbit is a character who doesn't die, so in levels where there's a lot of enemies where Luigi has to avoid them, it is faster to use Nabbit. And there's a few other reasons, like minor reasons, Nabbit is used. and I'll explain them as we go. But as you can see, the very end with all those dry bones, Nabbit can just run through all those dry bones, and it's a reason to use Nabbit here in this level. He can still get knocked back by big enemies, but that's not a big deal usually. So the boss of every tower is Boom Boom. The way you fight Boom Boom is just the same as you fight Boom Boom in Super Mario Bros. 3. You just jump on him 3 times and then you win. So coming up here is a good time to explain controller preferences. So in this game, you can use the gamepad, the Wii Remote, or the Wii U Pro Controller to play this game. And much like a lot of Wii U speedruns, it is preferable to use the Wii U gamepad because it saves time. You can use the touchscreen on the gamepad to do menuing, which saves inputs, and that adds up over the course of this run.
Yeah, you're also going to notice M-Chan, when he gets to the flag, he's going to jump like somewhere near the middle of the flag. That's because it doesn't matter where you jump on the flag, it's all the same, except if you get the 1-up, it's actually slower because Mario takes longer to get to the bottom of the flagpole than the flag, which you have to wait for.
It actually is the same speed if you get the 1-up, so even if I get the 1-up, it's still the same amount of time for the flagpole animation. But the other thing I'm doing with flagpoles is you might see me like occasionally turn slightly backwards right before hitting the flagpole, and that just saves the turning animation. So that's a few frames each time I grab a flagpole. So here's our first fork in the road here on the world map. You have a choice between 1-4 or 1-5, and obviously, since we're not doing every level, you want to choose the faster of the 2 levels. So in this case, I choose 1-4, because it's about like 4 seconds faster than the other level. The other reason is because if I do the other level, then I have to dodge the piranha plant that you see right there on the left. So since this is all castles, this is our first castle of the run here. We're going to be doing the first castle. Basically here, there are these like swinging platforms here, but as with the squirrel movement, we can just fly over all the swinging platforms here. You can jump on these dry bones here for fun. Something else that I'm doing while I am Acorn Luigi is my first movement is a short hop followed by a glide right after, and that allows me to gain full speed immediately as opposed to just running to full speed, and that saves a few frames each time. So all these little optimizations that add up over the course of this 1 hour category. So the boss of every castle is a Koopaling, and in this case we're going to be fighting Lemmy Koopa. And bosses in a lot of Mario games, if you fight them the same way, then you always get consistent results. So I'm going to be getting my first hit on Lemmy right there, jump underneath his bomb that he was about to throw at me. And then I know exactly when he's going to come out from his shell, so I can have my opportunity to hit him again. So I just hang around where I know he's going to come out from, and then that's pretty much the fight. And with that, that is World 1 completed. So the first world is kind of like your basic world to kind of get yourself introduced to the game. And so, coming up in World 2, the game starts to get a bit harder. And we have a bit of a...
I was going to say that every world name is just named after either a food or a drink. And I'm pretty sure it alternates by world. So, like, World 1's a drink, World 2's a food.
Yeah, like World 1 is called Acorn Plains. We got acorns. This world's called Layer Cake Desert. And we have a cake. As you can see, there's a giant cake and more cakes.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, this game will make you hungry sometimes. Alright, so 2-1 here. We have these enemies called spikes that will throw these spiky balls at us. We can dodge them just fine. Sliding down these down slopes in order to gain a little bit of speed. Do a precise jump right there. And then fly over this giant pit of quicksand. And that's pretty much the level right there. And coming up is a cutscene where Toad's gonna let us know that some guy named Nabbit has stole his double favorite stuff. And he tells us to chase after him, but we're not going to do that. In 100% you do catch him, because it's required for 100%, but since we don't have to catch him, we're not going to be doing that. The reward you get for catching Nabbit is a P Acorn, which is basically an upgraded Super Acorn. It allows you to fly infinite times, and there are cool strats that you can do with the P Acorn, but because it takes so long to go out of your way to get Nabbit, it's not worth getting Nabbit at all.
Gotta save the princess.
Yeah, we have a date.
Don't care about anyone else.
Alright, so we have a choice between 2-2 or 2-3, and we're going to be doing 2-3. 2-3 is kind of a tricky level to do for if you don't know the level very well, because it's a dark level, so it's kind of hard to see what you're doing sometimes. But as Nabbit, we don't really have to worry about how dark it is. We could just run through all these piranha plants here. Now, one common question is, because Nabbit is invincible, a common question is it faster to use Nabbit for every single level? And the answer is no, because Nabbit does not use the benefits of any of the power-ups. Whenever you get a power-up as Nabbit, then it does nothing to Nabbit, other than when you beat a level with power-ups, then it converts the power-ups into 1-ups, which is, of course, slower. And there is a category where you can use Nabbit throughout the whole game, and that is slower. Because in levels where you need like large distances with Luigi, it's faster to use Luigi. Alright, so this level is a bit of a technical level here. The gimmick of this is you can use these little screws here to get the blocks in. So you can kind of create your own cycles. And there's a bit of a tough strat that I'm going to be doing at the end of this climb here. There we go. So normally when I'm doing attempts, I would actually cut that shorter, which means that I have less room to climb up to the top before those blocks close in. And if you mess up, then you get crushed and then you die. But since it's a negligible time save, it's only just a negligible time save, I just take it safe there towards the end. So Kamek does something different to Boom Boom to make him seem like it's harder. In this case, Boom Boom's a little bit more jumpy, but, well, he's not that much harder. Alright, so up next is the biggest run killer of this run, and that is this bridge section. So we have a Goomba, a Firebro, and an Acorn, and we have to try and get past this bridge without running into any of those enemies. If I get the Acorn, that's fine. But they move at random, and anytime I move on the map, they move at a random direction. However, recently there's a bit of a manipulation that allows you to increase your chance at going past the bridge without running into the enemies. But even then, there's still a chance for me to run into enemies. So let's see what happens. If I run into an enemy, then I initiate a fight, and it loses 25 seconds. Okay, we are through. Alright, we gotta run.
Let's go.
So being able to get past that bridge without running into any of those enemies is always a good thing, because that means that you're on a very good run right off the bat. So there, you can sometimes get sessions where you just get stuck at that bridge for like hours, and you're resetting for basically 10 minutes into the run each time. But thanks to that manipulation, kind of eliminates the amount of resets there. So, even though this is all castles, and the point of all castles is kind of like a worthless run, but I'm actually going to do the secret exit of 2-4. I'll explain why when it's relevant, but for now, I'm getting the secret exit, and it'll be useful later. Secret exits in New Super Luigi U are some of the most obscure secret exits to find in basically any other Mario game, really. Like, as you can see right there, you just ground pound that part of the ground, and for some reason it reveals brick blocks that you wouldn't otherwise know.
Guess the developers just assumed you'd spend a lot of time in random stages.
Yeah, just ground pounding on random pieces of ground.
Even if you only have 100 seconds.
Yeah. So this is going to allow us to open up 2-dash secret, which again, I'll explain why I do this in about, like, 20 minutes from now. So, alright, so 2-6 has these rolling hills, and we saw them for a little bit in 1-3. And so what I'm doing off of these rolling hills is I'm actually spin jumping off of these rolling hills. Spin jumping off of anything that's moving allows you to keep your speed when you're jumping off of them. So you can kind of see how fast I'm moving as I'm spin jumping from these rolling hills. And right there, that was a kind of a big example where I just fly super fast, and then I land on that latitude to stay in the air longer, and over the course of that level, that saves about like 2 or 3 seconds. So it's a really cool strat for this level. Something else to note with spin jumping as well is that when I'm Squirrel Luigi, I'm spin jumping quite a lot, and that's because when you spin jump with the Super Acorn, you spin jump at the same height as a triple jump, and that extra height makes a pretty big difference when doing some of the tricks.
Jen, I have a question because I'm actually not sure. Does crouch boosting exist in this game?
I am not too sure about that.
Okay.
Because there are currently no strats where you could use that.
For anyone wondering, crouch boosting is a thing in Mario Wii, where if there's a rolling hill going backwards and you jump off of it crouching, when you uncrouch in midair, you go back to normal speed.
Alright, so Morton Koopa Jr., he summons this giant Pokey right at the start, and normally you're supposed to wait for Morton to hammer the body parts at you, and you dodge them until the Pokey is at a height where you can jump over the Pokey to hit Morton, but you can just fly over the Pokey and hit Morton right away. You can also damage boost through the Pokey, and it saves a second in the fight, but then that means you lose your Acorn, and then you have to re-equip Acorn again at the end of the fight, which is actually slower in the end. And actually, I don't have an Acorn in my reserve inventory right now, so that would not have been useful for me anyway. Alright, so...
Do we have time for a quick donation?
In a moment. I just want to go ahead and explain real quick that up here we have a option between Worlds 3 or 4, and both the worlds will take you to World 5, and in the true Warpless run, we do one of the worlds and then go to World 5, but since this is all castles, we have to do both worlds anyway. I'm going to be doing World 4 first, because by doing World 4 first, it's going to allow us to save about 12 seconds in World 3 later on. Gotta start off here with a technical climb right here. These bruisers here have very unfavorable hitboxes, but thankfully I didn't get screwed by them. So that was a very good level right there. And then there's not much to say for the next level, so yes, you do have time for a donation.
Alright then, we have an $11.11 donation from Alistair, who says, "Woohoo! Well done, everybody, on raising $1,000 so quickly. Let's hear it for more. 11 is my lucky number, so this is to wish the runners great RNG."
Thank you.
And with that, our Titanfall 2 Spare or Kill Marvin bid war is really close, with Spare at $105 and Kill at $100.11. So if you want to kill Marvin, save those frames, definitely get your donations in. It's a really tight race right now. And as well, with the Titanfall 2 Fold Weapon voiceover, we are currently at $90.11 out of $200. So if you want to see that this evening, again, be sure to get your donations in.
Alright, so as I enter 4-Tower here, I'm actually going to delay on the map for a bit. And that's so I don't run into the Cooligan, just like that. If you run into the Cooligan, you initiate a fight, which again loses 25 seconds. Also, fighting Cooligans is not fun because their hitboxes are very bad. Alright, 4 Tower. Again, like all towers in Mario games, it's a vertical climbing level. I ground pound right there to stop my momentum so I don't slide into those falling icicles. And then wall jumping on here is slightly faster than using the elevator to go up to the top of the level. So another Boom Boom fight right here. Again, Kamek makes Boom Boom a bit jumpy here. The battle's on ice, so I can slip around, but... after Boom Boom, there's only... The next 2 levels are very straightforward, so if Ash wants to say something to the chat, this would be a very good time.
For sure. I guess now would just be a great time to say, yeah, I guess a great time to talk about a charity that we're benefiting is... We are benefiting the It Gets Better project, which is a non-profit organization with a mission to uplift, empower, and connect lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer youth all around the globe.
I would like to mention that in 4.2, he was using Nabbit because at the end of the stage, if you use Luigi, you have to pause because you would hit fireworks. In this game, whenever you end a stage with a double number, there would be fireworks, which is pretty slow, and also a different cutscene where you get a power-up, which is also slow. So any stage where fireworks is possible, he will be using Nabbit.
Yeah, and Nabbit cannot get fireworks, so while that level that I did previously is like a little bit harder with Nabbit, it's still faster to use Nabbit just to avoid fireworks and save that second. I'll be doing the same thing here with this level here, because the fastest end time is a 77. You get an acorn if you end a level with a 77, but again, that's 15 seconds lost that I hopefully won't need. Hopefully the run doesn't go that bad. Also, Nabbit has a faster flagpole animation over Luigi, so in some levels where Nabbit and Luigi take the same amount of time, I will use Nabbit in order to save the flagpole animation. So coming up is our first Ghost House, and Ghost Houses normally are these like complex levels that trick the players into getting lost, but Ghost Houses in this game are pretty straightforward. I guess they just couldn't find a way to make Ghost Houses complex and within a 100-second time limit, so they just make them really easy to go through. Normally there's like 2 boo rings that you have to try to dodge as Luigi, but as you can see, Nabbit doesn't care about boo rings.
They are just ghosts, so you should just be able to run through them anyway.
So I picked up an acorn earlier on the way to 4-4, and you can avoid that acorn, which could save time, but because you go through that ring like multiple times, that would mean you have to avoid that acorn every single time, which ends up not being faster. So up next is 4 Castle. Again, I'm going to delay my movement here so I don't run into the Cooligan, like that. And 4 Castle is a bit of a fun level here, because we have these falling thwomps as you're running through the level. So it kind of encourages you to go really fast, even when you're not speedrunning this level. So it's a kind of a one of the fun levels to do as a speedrun. So there's a strat towards the end where normally you're supposed to do 2 wall jumps, but I'm going to do a precise jump to skip doing wall jumps here. Like this. A very common thing you're going to hear me say quite a bit is some things are harder than they appear to be. And that's just because Luigi's movement, when you have Luigi physics throughout this game, it's not easy to get used to for your first few times playing through the game.
I played this game casually recently, and getting used to the controls after playing normal Mario games was very hard.
Yes, exactly. So here in this fight, Wendy Koopa, there are spikes on the top that you normally have to be careful of when you're Luigi, but as Nabbit, you don't have to worry about the spikes on the top. I can just wall jump into the spike right here, have some fun, and then just wait for Wendy to come out of her shell. And there we go, that's World 4. So, World 4 will take us to World 5, but since it's all castles, we have to go back and do World 3. And so, like I said, doing World 4 first allows us to save about 12 seconds in World 3, and that's because on the way out of World 4, on the way to World 3, I'm going to be picking up a Baby Yoshi. That's like towards the start of World 4. And Baby Yoshi is going to be very useful for one level in World 3. If I did World 3 first, then I would not be able to get Baby Yoshi. So this looks like a slight detour, and it is. It's about 8 seconds to grab this Baby Yoshi. But the level that I'm about to use Baby Yoshi for saves way more time with Baby Yoshi than if I were just to do that level normally. And that's 3-2. So I'll explain when I get to 3-2, but for now we're doing 3-1. I'm going to be doing as Nabbit. I'll still keep Baby Yoshi, even if I'm using Nabbit. And I'm using Nabbit here because if I'm doing this level as Luigi, then I have to carry Baby Yoshi throughout the whole level. And the flagpole animation just takes longer when you have Baby Yoshi with you. Uh-oh, okay. So I'll still keep Baby Yoshi. And now 3-2 is the level where we're going to be using Baby Yoshi. So World 3 is a water world. So you're going to be expecting some swimming levels. And 3-2 is our first swimming level. And if you know anything about swimming mechanics in Mario games, you know that you swim very slowly. With Baby Yoshi, you're going to be seeing what we're going to be doing here. So as you can see, when I'm carrying Baby Yoshi in the water, I can do these little spins here, which speeds up the swimming movement tremendously. And this, with optimal movement throughout this level, you save 20 seconds in this level, which is huge. Otherwise, this is like a 50-second level when you're just swimming normally in this level. So, well, you save 20 seconds. It takes 8 seconds to get Baby Yoshi, so you save a net 12 seconds overall. Alright, 3-Ash Tower is the level that saves the most amount of time with Nabbit, because normally, as Luigi, you have to wait for all these skewers, all these like skewer cycles. But as Nabbit, you can just go through all these skewers, no problem. Also, don't have to worry about that fire bar, which can sometimes troll you as Luigi, but yeah, we don't care as Nabbit.
Because Nabbit cheats.
Yeah, Nabbit cheats. There is a category where you can use just Luigi, and in my opinion, that run is more interesting because you have to come up with some strats to dodge enemies that you would otherwise tank through as Nabbit. Ash, you got anything to say?
Of course. We have a $5 donation from Mendez with no comment. Thanks for that donation. And I want to take this time to just shout out our staff here at Fast Pace Events. Founded in January 22. Our mission is to promote mental health and LGBTQ+ awareness through speedrunning. and to raise money for mental health and LGBTQ plus charities by beating games at a fast pace. Wouldn't you know it? You can find more information at the team by checking out their Twitter account over at twitter.com/fastpaceevents. You are doing a wonderful job at running this event, and yeah, I thank all of you for just doing what you do.
Okay, up next is a choice between 3-3 or 3-4. We're going to be doing 3-3. It's significantly harder than 3-4, but it saves 4 seconds over 3-4. Before, on the way to 3-3, there's this water spout cycle, which is random. It's a varying 1 second. Sometimes that water spout comes up right away, but it didn't come out right away. That's okay. It only varies by like a second or less. So in this level, we have these water spout cycles, and for this part right here, I'm actually going to slow down here, and that's so I can get a bit of a favorable ending towards the end. It's really easy for your inputs to get dropped when you're running across these water spouts, so I just kind of take that part a little bit safe. Only loses about like 1/3 of a second. Now, up next is 3-5, which is another swimming level, and so you might think, would it be faster for me to keep Baby Yoshi all the way up to 3-5? And the answer is no, because this is a vertical swimming water level, and so in order to optimize your movement in this level is by mashing really fast. So, I'm just going to go ahead and end this mash. And if you can mash really well up to the top of this level and not drop a single mash and have good movement, then you can end this level with an 81, which I just did right there. Not a lot of people can get an 81 at the end of this level by just simply doing that level as normal Luigi. And that's just due to just natural human ability of mashing. But if you can get it, it's really cool. It's not easy to get, even if you mash really fast. Alright, so this level here, Larry's Castle, is a level... You can either use Luigi or Nabbit. I'm going to use Luigi. Some people use Nabbit only for this water section right here. That way you don't have a chance of losing your acorn if you get hit in this water section. But I like the movement better in the first and third section of this castle, which is why I like using Luigi for this level. And it makes no difference in time using whichever character. There's no flagpole, and the boss animation is the same speed with both characters. So I did mention that bosses are always the same results whenever you fight them the same way. With Larry Koopa, if you mess up on the Larry fight, then it can be random, but let's see what happens here. So get the first hit in. The second hit's pretty fun, because what I can do is just stand right here, and then Larry will just jump into me. Okay. So now we completed both Worlds 3 and 4. And so up next is World 5. I'm actually not going to go to World 5 through the exit of 3 Castle, because up next is 5 Airship. And it's kind of the intermission level between World 3 and World 5. And the airship has a very long cutscene when you start it, and then it has a very long auto-scroller as you do the level, followed by a very boring boss fight, and then a long cutscene at the end of the level. So that's very slow. Overall, that makes it the longest level in the game, ironically. So the secret exit that I got back in 2-4 this is where it's going to be useful. So even with this backtracking and doing the extra exit here in 2-4 and then doing 2-secret, which is a very short level, this still saves time over doing 5-airship. This saves about a minute. Okay, just like that. So now, this is going to allow us to skip 5-airship and then go straight to 5-1. So it's a pretty big time save. In the true warpless run, of course, the true warpless run does not use secret levels at all. So you would have to go through 5-airship in that category. That's not a very popular category because it's similar to all castles otherwise. Yeah, now we're going to World 5, and so the run so far has been very straightforward, but this is where things start to get pretty interesting, as in World 5, we actually only do 4 levels, so it's actually the shortest world in the run, even though when you're doing World 5 normally, it's a pretty long world, because it's divided up into like 3 different sections. There's the top section right here, there's another section after doing the tower called the Haunted Forest, and then there's the bottom section, leaving the forest. We are only going to be doing 4 levels here in the run, or in World 5. So here in 5-1, there are these swinging vines, and if you hold neutral as you're swinging from these vines, then you actually keep your speed as you're swinging from them, which adds up to saving about 2 or 3 seconds. It's a very big time save over just holding, if you just hold right when you're swinging from the vines, then it caps your speed. And we don't want to cap our speed, we want to go past the cap limit. So in any percent here in World 5, we would actually do 5-3 because it's slightly faster than doing 5-2. But we're going to be doing 5-2 because there's a secret exit in this level that's going to allow us to skip a lot of World 5. Otherwise, the normal route through World 5 is to keep going getting the normal exit and then doing the tower level, which features a very difficult skip. And then the Haunted Forest section, which has a ghost house, as well as a choice between 2 of the hardest levels in the game, and then an RNG section. This secret exit is going to allow us to skip all of that. Now, we are skipping the tower level, and it is a tower, not a castle, which means it's allowed to be skipped. It's the only tower in the game that we can skip within this game. So it's going to allow us to create a path around the Haunted Forest, and then now we're going to the bottom section. So we now have a choice between 5-6 and 5-7. We're going to do 5-6. 5-7 is divided up into 3 sections, whereas 5-6 is one section. So again, I'm sliding down these wooden platforms that are slanted downwards so I can slide off of them and gain a little bit of speed. These sumo bros try to kick down these sparks that will electrocute us, and when you get electrocuted you just lose a lot of time because you get the electrocution animation and then you lose your power up. It's very slow. But thankfully we didn't have to worry about getting electrocuted there. And now we have 5-Castle, and throughout 5-Castle there are these swinging chains, which work just the same as the swinging vines for 5-1. So I'm going to hold neutral as I'm swinging from these chains in order to go past the cap limit of my speed. You want to be careful though, because as you can see there are these like waves of lava, and lava can kill you even when you're Nabbit. And when you die as Nabbit, you also lose your power-up as Luigi as well. So it's not a good thing to die as Nabbit. So Iggy Koopa is pretty random. The only Koopaling out of the Koopalings that we fight that have some randomness into it. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to... I jump into his fireballs that he shoots out, and he will not come down from the ceiling unless all the fireballs are off screen. So as Nabbit, I can just jump into the fireballs. You can do it as Luigi as well, but that would mean getting hit as Luigi, so it's better to use Nabbit here in this level. There is another strat where you can actually hit Iggy Koopa while he's on the ceiling, but that strat's very difficult, and I haven't practiced that strat enough to get consistent enough to do it in the marathon, so we just do it the most consistent way instead. So that is World 5 completed. Again, the shortest world in the run. And now we're moving on to World 6, which is the hardest world in the run. Very complicated to route if you're doing 100%. And the gimmick behind World 6 is there are these like red and blue switches that you use in order to create a path throughout the world. But one of the reasons that makes World 6 really difficult is that you only do one level as Nabbit, which is not really the issue. It's like, from 6-Dash Tower and onwards, there are mistakes that if you run into, you just lose like seconds and it adds up very quickly. The mistakes that you make in World 6 can snowball very, very quickly, and it could result into losing your acorn pretty easily. So let's see what happens from here. If you have one quick thing that you want to say before you head into 6-Dash Tower, this would be a pretty good time.
Alright, we have a $20 donation from Nordic Soy, who says, "Great job everybody on hitting $1,000 so far. Thank you to all the staff, runners, and commentators for all your hard work. And a super special thanks to all of you in chat watching and donating to such a great cause. I'm honored to have been able to be part of this amazing event."
So I guess we can talk about 6-Dash Tower. So there is... Uh-oh. Okay, not bad. Alright. Is this fireworks? Maybe. Anyway, 6-Dash Tower has... I don't know if you want to call it a glitch or an exploit. There's not really any glitches in New Super Mario Bros. Games normally, but there's a trick that I'm going to be doing where I'm going to go through some hidden blocks. So there's a middle section in the tower that's blocked by hidden blocks, and you have to reveal them for like these spiky grolls to reveal a pathway up towards the middle, which is going to allow us to save like 6 seconds if I... Well, it wastes 6 seconds, basically, but with the precise flying movement, I'm going to try and go through the hidden blocks just like that. There's actually a hidden block right next to that block that I just hit right there, but I just like flew right through it. And that is by just flying precisely in a way where I could just fly through it. It doesn't make much sense, but it works, so we just basically the 6 seconds.
As someone call it Nintendo logic.
Yeah. So the very last Boom Boom fight here, Kamek gives Boom Boom wings. Uh-oh, hold on. Okay. But again, we know Boom Boom's attack pattern. Well, I guess I didn't quite know it, because I didn't quite go as well as I wanted, but... there we go. That is the last Boom Boom fight. There is actually another tower in World 6, but we actually... Boom Boom is actually not the boss of that tower. It's actually somebody else. Who could it be? So we're going to be doing 6-3. 6-4 on the bottom is an auto-scroller, so it's automatically out of the option. I'm going to try and do something fun here. Got it. When you ground pound, you gain a few pixels of extra height, which is how I was able to make that last part right there. So 6-5, on the other hand, we're going to be getting the secret exit there in that level. It's still going to take us to the tower level, but I'm going to hit this red switch. And by hitting this red switch, we're going to get the secret exit here in 6-5, which is going to create a path to the red switch that you just saw on the right of the map. And that will keep the red switch on, which is going to be important for us to end off World 6. So meanwhile, as we go to the second tower of World 6, this is called the Sumo Tower, and for one reason, there's a lot of sumo bros in this tower level, and then the other reason is because the boss is a giant sumo brother. It's a bit of a tough climb up to the top here. Nice. Okay. So, the giant sumo bro. There is a quick first hit that I'm going to try and get. It's very precise. Hopefully I can get it. It'll save a lot of time if I do. Yes! Got it. So you have just enough time to fly into the bottom of the platform that he's on before he jumps up to the middle to knock him over. And this allows you... This just makes the rest of the fight really easy. Otherwise, if he makes it up to the top, then you have to knock him over on one side, and then you have to do some weird stuff to fly right through his hitbox, and his hitbox is not very good. So that was a good tower. We had an overall pretty good World 6. Had a little bit of issues with 6-2 and 6 Tower, but otherwise that was a good World 6 for, which is good because World 6 is, like I said, the hardest world in the run, and everything went pretty well otherwise. So the reason keeping the red switch on was important was so I could create a path so that way I could enter the back castle of World 6. And this is the only castle where there is a front and back entrance. And as you can see, the back entrance is just much faster than doing the front entrance. It took us 5 seconds to get to the boss. Whereas if you do the normal path throughout World 6, you would have to do an extra level and then the front of the castle, where you have to do a little bit more in the castle. But now we're fighting Roy Koopa, and if you run 100%, then this is your favorite boss because you fight him twice. Because in 100%, you actually do both entrances of World 6. So, World 6 is now completed, and then now this is where, if you know anything about the any percent run of this game, this is where the category starts to meet up with any percent, as from now on, all the levels that we do are going to be the same as any percent. So we're heading up to World 7, and World 7 is not very many people's favorite world for a pretty big reason that we'll get to in a few levels from now. For now, we're off to 7-1, which is my least favorite level in the run. So we'll see what happens from here. You can do this level as Nabbit, which is faster, but it's much harder. So I'm actually going to be doing this level as Luigi. When you do this level as Nabbit and you mess up, then you don't really have a way to save yourself. Whereas with Luigi, if I do mess up, then I can save myself in some ways. There's a hard jump towards the end here. Hopefully I get it. Got it. I had to actually turn back a bit, so otherwise I would have run into the fuzzies there. But that jump is actually harder than you think it is. You actually have a few frames to make that jump to get over those large group of fuzzies there. When you're running on ice, it is very easy for your jump input to get dropped. So you have about a few frames to actually make that jump to get past that large group of fuzzies. Otherwise, if you don't get the jump, or if you jump too late, then you basically just die. 7-2 is a pretty straightforward level. The other level, 7-3, you lose 20 seconds if you do that level over this level. You can run these munchers, jump on the wigglers, but that's basically the level. 7-Tower is very important that I don't lose Acorn, which can sometimes be easy to do, but we'll see what happens. I shouldn't, though.
7 Tower is definitely every speedrunner's favorite level.
Oh yeah.
Especially favorite boss fight.
No one's ever lost a run to this level. Fly up here, go through that little section right there. Uh-oh, hold on. Okay, we're good. Didn't lose Acorn, so that's good. You can kill those fire bros if you want, or you can just fly up over to the top and avoid them completely. One of the issues with trying to deal with those fire bros is they have semi-random patterns, so you can kind of know what they're doing, but then sometimes they just juke you anyway. Alright, so, Kamek. The boss is the boss of 7-Tower. He is a great boss, fantastic boss, 0 RNG. Nice! That was pretty good.
It was really clean.
Yeah. Alright, so, as you can probably tell, we were, the Kamek is random. You have to basically pick a side, hope that you're right, and then, the important thing in that fight is, as long as you don't let him teleport away, then, you have a good fight. And so, having Acorn there is important in order to get the Kamek quick kill. The third hit is he will always spawn in the middle, so as long as you get the first 2 hits in within that fight, then you just fly straight to the middle, and then you have a good fight from there. Ghost House. You saw that I made a really big jump to get to the bottom of the level. It looks kind of YOLO, but there is a setup to always get it. So there's nothing to worry about there. And this secret exit allows us to skip basically a lot of World 7. There's an RNG section that we just skip completely. Don't have to worry about it. We already have to deal with Kamek RNG. Let's not add more RNG to the run. So, Ludwig's Castle is divided up into 2 sections, and both sections involves this sliding block. So you can kind of take your time, because you have to wait for the sliding block to go past you. For this second part right here, I'm going to slow down in order to get a favorable firebar cycle. And now, in order for me to do that strat right there, so there we go. It is very easy to mess that up. If you mess that up, then you could lose your Acorn, and this is another level where you don't want to lose your Acorn, otherwise you're gonna lose quite a bit of time within the boss fight. So the boss of 7-Dash Castle is Ludwig von Koopa. And so normally, there is an attack phase where you have to... where Ludwig clones himself, and you have to guess which Ludwig is the right one. It's the one that shoots the most fireballs, but as you can see, you can fly up to Ludwig, and it skips that attack phase completely. And there we go. So up next is 7-Airship, the intermission level between World 7 and World 8. And we skipped 5-Airship. There's no way to skip 7-Airship. And just like 5-Airship, this level is an auto-scroller. But for this first part of the level, the auto-scroller is you have to ride a huge cloud towards the end of the first section. But with precise flying, I'm going to skip that. So hopefully we get it. If I mess up, then I'm dead.
At least you have some backup acorns.
I only have one, but yeah. There are acorns in this level, but hope I don't have to use it. Alright, we're good. So this next part right here is kind of the calm before the storm, before we head to the Bowser Jr. boss fight.
Every airship level has to have an auto-scroller.
Okay, so this is Bowser Jr., the boss of the airship here, and let's see how this goes, and then I'll explain what happens. Okay, so that's one. That's two. And that's three. Okay, so that fight looked easy, but it's actually much harder than you think it is, because Bowser Jr.'s hitbox is very unfavorable. His hitbox is really small, like directly in the center, and there's a ton of clips from many NSLU runners, as well as Mario U runners, where it looks like you're about to hit Bowser Jr., but then you either go through Bowser Jr., you get knocked out of hitting him, or you get hit at the same time hitting Bowser Jr. And if you mess up the fight, and you lose your acorn, then there's a lot of randomness to this fight. But fortunately, since we didn't lose our acorn, we didn't have to deal with the randomness, but that fight gets very chaotic if you come into that fight with no acorn.
I would also like to mention that when he got the last hit on the boss fight, he purposely flew to the left side of the screen because the left side blocks fall earlier than the right side blocks, and that makes the cutscene trigger faster.
Oh yeah, it saves a second. So we're approaching World 8, the final world of the run. So we're actually almost done with the run here. So heading into 8-1, there are these random fireballs that come down. As Nabbit, we don't have to worry about it, but we're going to be getting the secret exit of 8-1, and while we're getting the secret exit, I have to wait for fireballs to break open some blocks, because all the blocks I have to go through are coin blocks, so I have to wait for a fireball. And there's 3 different fireball patterns that I have to watch out for, and they each vary by a second from best to worst. So we'll see what happens from here. And I got the worst pattern. Lovely. So I just lost a second. So it only loses a second. Which, you know, for a category that is very optimized, it can be detrimental depending on how close your pace is coming into World 8. So we get the secret exit, which is going to allow us to go straight to 8-4. The normal exit requires us to do 8-2 and 8-3. In Mario U, you actually take that route, because 8-4 would otherwise be a very long auto-scroller in Mario U. There's a skip in 8-2 in that game that saves time over doing 8-4, but here, it's not an auto-scroller in this game. So the fireballs are not random this time, instead they are cycle-based. And the cycle that you do in this level is very specific. You don't want to go too fast or too slow, otherwise your cycle is going to be off, and you could run into a fireball if you don't do this level at the proper speed. So up next is 8-Castle, which in Mario U features one of the hardest skips to do in the entire series, called Elevator Skip. It would otherwise be a vertical climbing elevator level, but here it's a horizontal elevator level. So elevator skip in this game is not that hard. The second elevator skip in this level can be hard. So let's see what happens.
Still much easier than Mario U.
Yeah, it's much easier. Okay, very nice. So that jump that I just did right there is very precise. You have to jump low enough so you don't hit the bomb up on top, and then you have to jump high enough so you don't hit the spark. So you have about a few pixels of a window to do that jump right there. There's another jump that you can do where you don't have to worry about those two enemies at all, which loses about a second over what I just did, but it is much consistent. So now we're heading to the final level, which is 8-Castle 2, called the Final Castle, or the Final Battle. And so in the first part of this level, Bowser Jr. is going to try and, ruin our day. And so Bowser Jr.'s movement patterns are influenced by how we do this room. However, I'm going to try to do this. Very nice. Okay, so what I just did there is I clinged onto Bowser Jr. While he is moving to the right, trying to chase us, and that allows us to move really fast throughout the room, and it saves 2 seconds over the normal strat that runners would otherwise do. So the core of our room here, the fireballs are always the same, so you just dodge them the same way each time. And then Bowser, hardest fight in the game. Oh my goodness, I did it!
Let's go!
So Luigi jumps so high that you can just jump over Bowser. There's no effort into it.
Yeah, the staple of the new Super Mario Bros. Series.
But wait, what are they doing here? Well, they're doing something. Hopefully nothing bad happens. Let's go save the princess real quick. So there's the princess all the way over there in the background. Oh! Well, what just happened there? Oh, he's back, of course. Alright, so, right at the start of this fight here is, we're going to be doing fireball skip. So normally he shoots 2 fireballs right at the start. If you fly up, then it skips his second fireball, which saves about 2 seconds. Then, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit Bowser with the clown car, and then I'm going to try and keep the clown car. And this is going to, if I keep the clown car, then I can hit Bowser immediately right as he gets up. And this saves Bowser's attack phases, which is between 20 and 40 seconds, depending on what he does. And if you let Bowser Jr. get away with the clown car, then you have to sit through Bowser's attacks, which loses 20 to 40 seconds. And if you keep the clown car for both phases, that's time, by the way. If you keep the clown car for both phases, then you save quite a lot of time. The fight is really fast, as you can see. I finished the fight without before my explanation was over, and that's how fast the fight goes. If you can get a really good final Bowser fight.
That one was really clean. That
yeah.
one was really clean.
So the time is on my timer. It says 1:01:26, which actually, that was the time that I had when I came back to this category recently in preparation of this run. But I did PB a few days ago with the 1:01:15, and the run that I had before when I came back to this was a 1:01:26. So I basically tied my former world record. Actually, that was what the world record used to be. But now the record is 1:01:04. My PB is a 1:01:15. So I'm really happy with how this run went. So with that, if you want to know more about this game, I stream this game very often. I also stream other games in the New Super Mario Bros. Series, and I'm also a Zelda speedrunner. So if you like the New Super Mario Bros. Games as well as Zelda games, then you can feel free to check me out. Thank you, Nex, for hanging out with me throughout the run. It was a lot of fun.
No problem.
And then
That was fun to watch.
and then also, thank you, Ash, for being an awesome host throughout this throughout the run, as well as coming up in later runs in the marathon.
Of course. Yeah, you'll be stuck with me for a couple more hours.
But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of the marathon. This is a great cost. It gets better as a great cost.